Hey, what's up guys? Node Investor here. Want to give you guys an update on Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and share my thoughts about the altcoin market. The cryptocurrency market cap is right near all-time highs, but the altcoins are lagging badly, and it's all Bitcoin that's pushing it up. And so where do we go from here? Are we going to move higher? Are the altcoins going to take another beating if Bitcoin decides to rally another leg up? And so I want to share my thoughts, but I want to look at a couple of charts here. So just really quick, running through the prices, you can see Bitcoin's been steady for the last day, right around $656, $5,700. Ethereum, nice big move up 12% to $340. Neo, $29. Litecoin also strong at $59. Dash was up nicely. Monero was up 10% today. Ripple's pretty much back up 26 cents, catching up a little bit here. Ethereum Classic, not too bad. Zcash is showing a little bit of a bid. And even NEM, down and out, beating up NEM, had a little bit of a pop today. So let's see the coin market cap here. 174 billion, knocking on the door of 175. We're basically right at the old highs here almost. The old highs in early September, we peaked out at around 179 basically. And here we are at 175. So we are right there. We're getting pretty close, but this is the total cryptocurrency market cap, including Bitcoin. If you factor Bitcoin out, I mean, just look at the difference of that chart. The altcoins peaked at around $98 billion. And here we are, just been flat for most of September and all of October, and just now starting to poke our head up near 80 billion on the altcoin market cap, but still lagging badly. I shared some thoughts. If you get the newsletter, if not, I'll put a link below here in the description. But I did share some thoughts around where I think this could go if Bitcoin decides to rally more, what I'm looking for here on the turnaround. But in summary, I think the altcoins are getting close to putting in a good low. Some of them, I believe, may have already put their low in, but it's very picky at this point. It's not across the board. You've got to pick wisely, and let's be honest, some of these altcoins might never come back. There's some that are just down and out, down 60, 70, 80% from the high. Will they go back to those old highs? I don't know. I'm honestly doubtful on a lot of them, because we've seen the cycle before. We've seen some names come and go, good names, but just that's the nature of the market. So Bitcoin dominance continues to climb here. We're looking at now we're at basically almost 55%. We peaked at 55% here recently. So I think we see a little bit of a turnaround here soon. But let's take a look at the charts. Bitcoin. So this is the 4-hour chart of Bitcoin. And just kind of looking at the 10 EMA rising, and since that breakout above that $5,000 mark, it's pretty much just been moving up. You saw the big breakout here, a little bit of pauses here, and then last night we had this nice big kind of selling, profit taking right at 5,900, and we're just been consolidating there and letting that 10 EMA catch up, and we needed to. I mean, just looking at the chart, we were way overdone in the near term. It needed a pause. A pause is very healthy, very good. Volume has been declining on that pause, which is what you want to see. And so I'm thinking Bitcoin's going to probably show another leg higher here. If we can start to break out on this 4-hour chart above 5,700, if you want to be safe, 5,800, 6,000 is probably on the way. That's my guess. If we look at the 1-hour chart here, you can see the RSI has really come down, and it's kind of reset some of those overbought conditions that we were having. And so we'll see if this starts to materialize into another leg up. This is the 1 hour. Right now, support has really been showing up around that $5,500 mark. So that's a pretty good. If it dips down to that level, that's probably a good buy right now. Below that, 5,400 or so, and then below that around 5,200. I don't think we're going to see 5,200 on a correction, but if we do, let's go to the daily chart real quick. And it's certainly in the realm of possibility, because the 10 EMA on the daily is still down here at 5,000 playing catch up. And so we could see a pullback down to this 5,200 and then a bounce from there, and it would still mean the rally is intact and it's perfectly healthy. However, I think there's a lot of buyers on the sidelines, saw this thing break out and they want in, and they're waiting for a dip. Will they get the dip? I don't know. In my opinion, I think you take these little pauses like we saw here in the 1 hour, right? It went up, paused, breaks out, you get on there if you weren't in. Another pause, breaks out, you get on there if you weren't in. But here was a big reversal bar, high volume, so that was all profit taking there. Since then, we've been consolidating, and see if we hold here. But look for that little bit move out here above 5,800 to be on the safe side, and I'm thinking we're going to see another leg up. If not, then we could see a good correction down to those levels I mentioned here. But the question remains, if Bitcoin breaks out, are the altcoins going to take another dump? And, you know, just from talking to some of you guys and seeing your messages on Twitter and in the group and some of the emails I get, there is a lot of concern around another leg up in Bitcoin, because everyone's thinking, oh man, I've already felt the pain on the alts. You know, all of you guys that have been hodling all the way down, you're thinking, I don't want to see Bitcoin go up again because I'm going to take another beating. And so that's going to be interesting to see what happens, because normally when Bitcoin rallies to new highs, the altcoins follow suit, and there's this back and forth trading off between the two. But since October, we've just been Bitcoin rallies, altcoins take a beating, and all the money's been going into Bitcoin. And everyone says it's because of the fork, and I think that's a lot of it. But I think as we get closer to the forks, people may start looking at the altcoins and saying, you know, do I really want this? Whatever it's going to be worth at the time, 10% of BTC or maybe even 20%, or do I get some of these altcoins on the really cheap and ride them up 20, 30, 40%? And I'm thinking it's going to be the latter. So I'm thinking if we see another rally in Bitcoin, look to see how the altcoins react. You might start seeing some maybe initial drops, but then maybe they start to be a little more buoyant and holding. And if they start to outperform Bitcoin on a Bitcoin rally, then you know those are signs at the bottoms. And I'm looking for signs at the bottoms. I'm going to go over that here in a little bit, but I wanted to show the Bitcoin chart. Now let's take a look at Ethereum. So here's the daily chart, Ethereum USD tether, and you can see we were up in this little pattern here. We were really consolidating. That horizontal resistance had been right around that 314 mark, and I remember I mentioned it a few videos back. I thought it was back here, and I thought, hey, if this thing breaks above 300, we're going to go to 340. And it never really did, and then it really started to lag Bitcoin here recently up until yesterday, and we saw that nice pop. We paused right there at that next resistance zone, but looking like it wants to edge out here. And so of the altcoins, if you want to call it this one that, I mean, Ethereum, and I'll get to Litecoin right now, those are where the strength is, the big three. And you're seeing they're trying to play some catch up with Bitcoin here, and they're starting to hold their ground with Bitcoin. So if you wanted to be in anything else besides Bitcoin right now, this is probably one of the safer bets at the moment, just because these charts look the strongest. And this is a decent breakout in Ethereum. I mean, look at that volume, well above average, and you know, invalidated this what could have been a rising wedge pattern, just broke right out, right up to the next resistance level, and we might start heading up to these old highs. Now, on a percentage basis, not huge, right? I mean, from this point up to around $400, it's almost 14%. Very good, but not huge, right? Not going to be a, you know, if you get one of these cheap altcoins that rally, you could see 14% in no time, right? So, but still, I think Ethereum potentially could start outperforming Bitcoin here in the near term. Zooming in a little bit here, this is the 1 hour chart view of that. So you can see the big breakout. We had a little bit of a pause on the 1 hour chart. Let that moving average catch up. Boom, another leg up. And since then, we've just kind of been sitting tight here. And look at the volume, just really getting dry here at the lows. That's what you want to see. There's not a lot of sellers showing up here. And so I'm thinking the low is probably in on Ethereum, and we're moving higher. Let's take a look at the chart versus Bitcoin. And so this one's interesting because we had broken down below this key support level. And let me show you guys where I'm looking at. So we had this level, and we pretty much have rallied right back into that, and that's where we've bounced it around and hit some resistance here right below that support level that was broken. And so we're going to want to get above that. I think we will, and if we get above that, then we can see a pretty nice rally on Ethereum. Now, taking a look at Litecoin, same thing here, right? We were really tight. Now, Litecoin had been lagging and was definitely the laggard, was putting in this little bit of a wedge, and there's an argument that be made that it was a little bit of a descending wedge, which is typically a bull pattern because it breaks at the upside, and that's what happened here. And the level that I was looking at was that $57 mark, had just been resistance for a while and broke above that, and so far we've held it. And I'm liking this pattern. It looks like it wants to go higher as well. So this is a pretty good breakout on the daily charts. And I think if we see Bitcoin start to move up, you're going to see Litecoin and Ethereum follow suit. Now, in my last video, I mentioned Litecoin and the big pattern that was forming on the Litecoin BTC chart. Let's take a look at that. And so zooming out here, I was talking about we were basically right at this major support level that Litecoin needed to hold. And if not, I mean, there was this giant head and shoulders pattern that potentially could break down, would be a significant break for Litecoin. And here in the last week, I mean, just look at this on the daily chart. We've had multiple tests of that support, and so far it's held, but it has not yet broken this downtrend, and we are right there. I mean, we're going to know in the next couple of days whether Litecoin versus Bitcoin is going to break to the upside, or if this is going to break support here to the downside. I think maybe we can go flat. It's going flat right now. Maybe we can go flat for another couple days, but this is going to resolve itself here pretty soon. So keep an eye on this pattern on the BTC. Because it's held support and because it's starting to break out on the USD chart, odds favor that it's going to want to break to the upside and have a little bit of a rally and outperform Bitcoin. But until you get confirmation, just keep your stops tied on this one if you're in it or if you want to get in on it. I think it's a really good breakout on the USD chart, so it's definitely worth looking at here. And it's consolidating nicely, but this has to be at the back of your mind. Just watch this chart in the meantime. So how high could Bitcoin go? Well, it's anyone's guess. We're new high grounds, and typically strength begets strength, and more often than not, the surprise is to the upside. I mean, just look how quickly we went. Once we broke that $4,900 mark, we went straight to $5,900 in a day. Just amazing strength. I think it's definitely a little overdone near term. If you look at the RSI on Bitcoin, it's right above 80 here, and on the 4-hour chart, it's pulled in a little bit here, and the same on the shorter time frames, but it's definitely feeling a little bit near a good pausing point, or maybe even a little bit of a pullback. But I'm thinking we probably see 6K, but then after that, is the pullback deep, or is it just a pause and we get another rally? That's anyone's guess at this point. I think there's a lot of money coming into this space now. All the folks that were talking down Bitcoin at 1K and then 2K and then 3K, and then it crashed down back to 1800, and they said, I told you so, and then it's back up and it's at 4K and then 5. Now that we're over 5, it's interesting to see how much the tone is changing. Now it's, oh, Bitcoin, well, maybe I should look at this stuff. You know, I've missed the whole rally, but maybe now I should start looking at it, and I'm thinking you're going to start to see more of that, and that's going to create this even more demand. That's just investor psychology, right? This, you see the money being made, people start talking about how much they've made, and everybody wants to get in, and now that we've already had this 5-fold increase for the year, now people really want in, and we really could see a big spike, but there's going to be ebbs and flow along the way. So to the altcoins, if we see a rally in Bitcoin, here's what you need to start looking for. If you're not familiar with chart patterns, I do offer an intro video course where it kind of goes over all the fundamentals and the basics and the chart patterns to look for. I did a course, a video just a couple days ago on YouTube. You can find it. I'll put a link to it about books that I would recommend looking into for learning this stuff. But right now, what you're going to want to be looking for are reversal patterns, meaning patterns that start to show up on the downside. After a decline, you're going to want to see patterns that are reversal bullish patterns, meaning the low has been put in and we're going to start moving higher. And there's a handful of those. There's the double bottom, the inverted head and shoulder, the rounded bottom, the triple bottom. There's the declining wedge. You know, you're going to want to look for breaks of the downtrend. You're going to want to look for those type of things, right? And that's what you're going to want to keep an eye out for in the coming days, because you're going to start to see more and more of those show up. And as you start to see more and more altcoins putting in these low patterns, these capitulations, these high volume reversals down at the lows, those are all very positive signs because that's showing that the low is in. Let me give you a quick example. I'm not saying that this is the pattern that I'm seeing right now, but these are good examples, right? So here's ARK. We've had this nice long decline, and here we're getting a potential double bottom. If we go into the 4-hour chart, it's going to be even clearer to see that. See that double bottom that's being put in here. And those are the type of patterns you want to start looking for. And they're not confirmed until they rally back and start to move up above these necklines. But there's a good indication that maybe there's a bit of a low putting in here. Maybe this is support that's going to start to hold. You're seeing the RSI starting to put a little bit of a bullish divergence. Civic's another one that I was looking at. Potential double bottom on that one. Look at that. And look at the RSI. There's a bullish divergence on the RSI. So the first low had on RSI down 17 on the 4-hour. And then the second low had an RSI of about 35. And so that's a good divergence. You're seeing that low put in. And those are the type of patterns you're going to want to start paying attention to. You know, you're going to want to see these double bottom patterns that look like that. You're going to want to see maybe an inverted head and shoulders, right? This type of thing. More of a rounded bottom. Those are the type of patterns that you're going to want to see. And then you're going to want to see these downtrends being broken, right? So going back to ARK BTC, right? See, you see this downtrend. You can draw a line here. You can start to see where it starts to break above it. Another good example of a downtrend break here recently is Monero, right, on the USD chart. So this is the one I've been watching. Let me just show you the daily. It's going to be a little clearer to see there. But look at that daily chart. Clearly has been in this downtrend that's been support or resistance all the way down and held this support, was definitely forming a potential descending triangle here, which is a bearish pattern if it breaks below, but it held this line, and then just now we're seeing this pop above. Now it's above the moving average, it's above this declining downtrend, and so we could come back and retest it and then start to hit higher. But you know, these breaks of the downtrends, these multiple support levels being held, capitulation at the lows on the volume side of things, those are the kind of signs you want to start looking for. And that'll give you an indication as to whether or not that particular coin is ready to bottom out here. And I'm starting to see more and more of those show up. So be patient. You're going to start to see confirmation. And when they go, they've been so oversold, I think we could see some pretty decent rallies in the short term. So those are my suggestions. Keep an eye out for those things. I've got a whole list of names, but I don't want to go through all of them here. I'm going to start to update the newsletter and send out more of the names and the charts that I'm starting to see as they start to show up. But that's what you want to be looking for here, especially if Bitcoin starts to break out. So I hope that helped, guys. Appreciate you hanging with me. It's been a crazy and interesting time this last week and a half, and it's almost a little bit bittersweet, right? Bitcoin's the new highs, and some of you guys are feeling the pain, and I get it. But all in all, this is very good for cryptocurrency. The market has really matured as an asset class over the last year, and it's even more bullish than it's ever been. So it's exciting to be in this space, guys. Hang tight. Until next time, take care.